I think one of the easiest things that it's still really, really painful that people can't see is for, in the kind of the vast majority of misdemeanors and nonviolent felonies, those things should not be crimes, right? If we, instead of arresting people for jumping the turnstile, trespass, grand larceny, theft, drug use, instead invest in mental health, instead of in poverty alleviation and affordable housing, community, et cetera, we would see just greater health and at enormous cost savings. So that's like number one. That's like the easy. I mean, and it's tough for me to wrap my head around how people could still think that criminalization is the way to go. And with violence, number one, we got to realize that police and prosecutors, we talked about this, don't prevent crime, and police are spectacularly bad at solving violent crime. It turns out, you mentioned this earlier, violence prevention on the front end. So these community-led programs where people who have been harmed or usually there's overlap, harmed other people, actually work to diffuse conflict before they actually happen. And when they happen, talk to people who have been harmed and those who have harmed others to try to bring them together to stop further action and engage in a restorative justice process, works dramatically better than arresting and caging someone and separating them from accountability. And so investing more in violence interruption programs. And then on the flip side, once violence does happen, I mentioned restorative justice. It sounds beautiful and fancy and kind of whatever, but it actually works, right? So restorative justice, it brings folks together, the people who harmed others and the folks who have been harmed. But it doesn't happen right away. It's not like, okay, let's all get around in a circle. I just got shot. Let's work it out. It's an intentional, long-term process.